Hi lovelies, Happy New Year and welcome to 2022. I hope you guys had an incredible holiday season and that you spent your time eating all the delicious things. Now, if you're anything like me, maybe at this point you are ready to get things back on track and start making healthy eating a bit more of a priority. If that's the case, then you have definitely come to the right place because all month long I'm going to be sharing some really simple but delicious and nutritious meals that you can feel really good about. Starting with this absolutely incredible Thai Basil Chicken. So this dish is so yummy. It's sweet, it's savory, it's got tons of great texture and lots of great flavor. Plus it comes together in a flash, which of course is my favorite kind of cooking. So the first step for this delicious stir fry is just going to be mixing up our sauce. So to get started, in my bowl I have got a little bit of chicken broth, and to that I'm going to be adding some tamari. So tamari is just gluten-free soy sauce. You could use regular soy sauce if you wanted to, or reduce sodium if you're watching your salt intake. Next to that, I'm going to be adding a splash of fish sauce and a little bit of oyster sauce. Now, if either of those ingredients make you a little nervous, not to worry. This dish does not have a fishy taste at all. Both of these ingredients are just really great at imparting a little bit of savory umami flavor into the dish. So, not to worry, definitely not fishy, but really, really flavorful. Next, to offset all of that savory umami flavor, we also want to get some sweetness in here, and I'm going to do that with some brown sugar. Now, if you don't want to use brown sugar in this recipe, some honey or some agave would totally work as well. You just want to get a nice sort of sweetness to balance out all that savory goodness. Then I am just going to get in here with my little whisk and give this a quick mix, and then I can set my sauce aside and get to work on cooking up my chicken. So I've got a nice big skillet heating up on the stove over medium-high heat, and to that I'm going to add just a little bit of oil. Now I've opted for non-stick here, but you could use cast iron, stainless steel, or a wok would be totally appropriate as well. Now for this recipe, I've opted for some boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I've just cut them into sort of half-inch cubes. You could also do this with chicken breast if you wanted to, or if you don't feel like chopping your chicken yourself because it's a little too labor intensive, you could go ahead and use ground chicken just as easily in this recipe. It would definitely work. So just as soon as my oil is nice and hot, I want to go ahead and get my chicken right into the pan. So I've got 6 chicken thighs here, and I'm just going to get them in, and I want to let these cook away until they're nice and golden. And I'm just going to hit these with a little bit of salt. You don't need to overdo it on the salt because of course we've got our soy sauce and our fish sauce, both of which have a good salty flavor, but I do like seasoning my chicken up just a little bit at this point. Just as soon as our chicken is fully cooked through and starting to get nice and golden, it's time to go ahead and get some veggies into our pan. So of course, one of my New Year's resolutions is to get more vegetables in at each and every meal. So to do that today, I am adding some red bell pepper here as well as some green beans. The best part about this recipe though is that you could really add any veggies to this that you wanted to. You could add some carrots, some cauliflower, a little bit of broccoli, some snap peas, snow peas, asparagus. You get the picture. The sky is actually the limit. And we're just gonna let this cook up for another, say, 3 minutes or so, just to give that pepper a nice chance to soften. Now, as with any stir fry, we're working with nice high heat here, and we wanna keep things moving in the pan. And just as soon as my peppers are nice and softened, I wanna add even more great flavor to this. So it's time to get in here with some shallot. You could use regular onion if you don't have shallot, but I love that sort of milder flavor that shallot adds. I've also got a good heaping helping of garlic headed in here. Some lovely fresh ginger. No substitute for fresh ginger. It's one of my favorite ingredients. And I'm also adding some red Thai chili. You can totally skip this if you want to leave the heat out of this recipe, but you guys know I love a little bit of heat. So I'm going to get those chilies in here and then just give this all a nice stir. And just as soon as that's all nice and fragrant, we can go ahead and add our sauce to this. So our pan's nice and hot, which means our sauce is going to start to sizzle immediately. That's exactly what we want. And we want to just let this cook away until the sauce has reduced down and become a bit syrupy. That's what we're looking for. We want it to coat all of our lovely veggies and our chicken. That little bit of broth that I used in my sauce is really gonna help those green beans get nice and tender. Guys, this is dinner perfection, legitimately. Once that sauce is nice and thick and delicious, that means it's time to add our star ingredient, which in this recipe, of course, is Thai basil. It is Thai Basil Chicken after all. Now, if you're not familiar with Thai basil, it's got a really lovely aromatic flavor, and it's perfect in a dish like this. You know, if you can't find Thai basil, you always have the option to use regular basil, not a problem. Your dish will not be ruined in any way. But if you can find Thai basil, it is such a treat. You can find it at some supermarkets or in some Asian supermarkets as well. And that's it. I'm gonna give this a stir, get it off the heat, and it is ready to be served on a pile of lovely rice. I like serving it with a little bit of lime for a bit of freshness and tartness. And oh my gosh, guys, this dish is one you do not want to miss. Definitely something that your whole family will love. And like you saw, so super easy to make. I hope you enjoy this one as much as I do and that you will give it a try for yourselves. If you do, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a photo because you guys know how much I love seeing your kitchen creations. Remember, this recipe, like all of my recipes, is featured on healthymealplans.com, our amazing meal planning site that allows you to browse more than 1,000 recipes, drag and drop them into your weekly meal plan, and then automatically generates your grocery list for the week. If you haven't checked it out yet, I really hope you will. It makes meal planning such a breeze and is guaranteed to make your life each and every week easier, which is what I'm all about, as you guys know. Finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.